To be live tonight. Yay. Hopefully a few folks tune in. I'm having my little cocktail. All right, so let's give it about a few minutes. I hope everyone's having a good evening today. Kev, I definitely want to get together with you and talk about the debate. I know you have a lot to say about it. I was watching DSN's live earlier, or her rant rather. Cheers, Kev. And she was saying how she was falling asleep and stuff, and I was like, hey, I second that. I kind of fell asleep through the later part of it. I just felt like it was not going anywhere, in the sense that a lot of the important questions weren't being answered, and nobody was touching on the topic of police brutality and racism and all of that stuff. But Trump did make a statement. I mean, I don't agree with that. This is not America. This is Trump's America. And that's the problem. That's why we have to get him out of office. I mean, I don't even want to go into it so much because I don't want to give it too much energy. I saw somebody else. Hello, Carlos. I saw one of my homegirls also posted a little bit about the debate, and then just said, all right, now that that's over, let me get back to business. Let me work on my craft, because nobody's going to give you anything, as it seems, right? So I feel the same way. Yay, everybody's trickling in. All right, I'm excited. What else? I mean, it's the fall. It's September. Tomorrow is full moon in Aries, I believe, which I'm a little bit excited about. And it's also my daughter's birthday tomorrow. So yay. My kids are getting so big so fast. It's a little scary, but fun and great, because they've developed, independence and their personality, and which I love, and we're able to have important conversations and stuff like that. I'm working on college plans with my son. So it's an important time. Thanks, Kev. Thank you. And what else is new? I mean, it's not summer anymore. It's fall now. So it's I feel like it's time to crack the whip. It's Q4, so let's definitely work hard on crossing off those things off that list and making sure we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, so that we can kick off 2021 strong and ready. Hi, Delise. Strong and ready to go. So without further ado, I'm going to let Alicia in, because I know all of us are super, super duper busy, and I don't want to keep her waiting any longer. Yeah, I like fall. I just don't like winter. And not because I don't like snow and things like that, but I don't like all the layering. So fall I appreciate, spring I appreciate, summer I love. So yeah, I hope everything is well with you, Delise. All right, so let's get started. Hey, oh, look at my people tuning in. Yeah, so excited. How do you guys like my glasses, by the way? Ew, little cute new Dolce going on. I felt like I needed a fresh new look, so I'm excited about them. I just picked them up today. All right, so let Alicia in, and let's get down to business and talk about branding, which is super important for me, and I'll let you guys know why once I let her in. All right. To her request. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys. It's been quite a while, and I've been working on some stuff. Hi, Alicia.
Hey,
All
how are
right.
you?
Good. Let me make sure I'm in this frame. All right,
Me too.
cool. Oh, I love your glasses.
Thank you. I can't see
Yes.
without them.
I know. I was just letting everyone know too. I just got some new specs. It was time.
I
My
saw some
my old
Dolces.
ones. Yes.
I got me some too, girl. Not these, but my other ones. I had to update the prescription. It was time.
Oh my God, yes. And I wear my glasses every day. I prefer glasses as opposed to contacts. So my other ones also were a little worn out. So I had to give them a little upgrade. I was like, oh no, I Can't be walking around like this anymore. Hey, Kels. All right. So I'm super excited to have you. And it's such a pleasure to meet you, even though it's
Yes.
virtual.
It's
Yeah.
okay. It still counts.
Exactly, exactly. So, if some of you guys don't know, with Fearless Women, we launched a 7-week entrepreneurship program. My camera's a little dark, but we're gonna have to just work with this today. So we launched a 7-week entrepreneurship program, and basically what we want to provide with this program is the tips and tools and resources and connections that you need to be able to either start your business if you've been thinking about it for a while, kind of like, light that fire up, or continue to build your business. And what we have done is we put together a team of 7 coaches who are doing amazing things in the game, who are, really successful, and who I admire, who the team admires, and who I feel would be a great connection for you to, learn from our live today. And also now you would have her information. You can reach out to her and get any additional information that you may need. I think it's super important. I always share when I came into the business, I was introduced by one of my friends, and that's how I kind of started meeting a lot of people and networking and stuff like that. So that's how I came in, and that's what I'm passionate about doing to others. And this is why, we've always been working hard on putting these great workshops together. So now we're virtual and we have to deal with it until we start getting out there again. But it's looking good because we're at 25% capacity. So that I'm pretty sure gradually it's going to increase up further to 50, 75, etc. So, we just got to go with the time, learn how to pivot. Which is another, reason why we're doing these programs now. So definitely take advantage. It's Q4, like I mentioned. So it's time to get down to it and prepare for 2021. So,
Absolutely.
yes. So I'm going to let Alicia introduce herself. We brought her in. We actually have a mutual friend, and she was like, Alicia's my girl. She knows her thing. And I did my research, and definitely I feel like Alicia's going to add great value to our branding section. I think she's an expert at it. And so from what I've seen so far, also has great energy, which is something that we're big about. And I'm so happy that she, was open to share all of her goodies with us today. So without further ado, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
So, hey, y'all. My name is Alicia Reese. I am a master strategist and author, and a serial entrepreneur at this point, unfortunately. And fortunately, I am unemployable. But what is the most important thing for me is always ensuring that no matter what avenue, no matter who the audience is, that I'm always giving folks the tools and resources that they need, that they can immediately implement so that they can move the needle forward. It's not about trying to eat the entire elephant, at one time, but I am all for, building blocks, building your brand, building your business a step at a time, because all that matters is that you're experiencing it and having some progress. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I've built, a number of businesses. Thankfully, they've been lucrative businesses, centered around marketing, branding, learning and development. I'm the principal for 360 Gateway Brands and also our GLP group. With 360 Gateway, that's the marketing and branding arm. We work with some pretty amazing clients, from Emmy-winning Zendaya Coleman to Soledad O'Brien. We've worked with Verizon. We've worked with UPS. So we've had some really great opportunities to work with some pretty well-known companies, and also some phenomenal small and mid-size entrepreneurial business owners. So yeah,
that is awesome. Like, kudos to you. Congratulations. I think that's super great. And something that is so important, and that I see a lot of us doing, especially during this time where we have had to quarantine, is highlight all of our fellow Black and brown folks like us who are doing amazing things, and kind of like bringing us together, and helping each other out, to take that step up the ladder, instead of kind of like going with what's already been going on, you know, whether it is complaining about not having enough opportunity and things like that. You know, it's like, let's create our opportunities, right? And let's
Yeah,
help others create opportunities. So thank you so
absolutely.
much. Yeah, I think that's
Absolutely.
super bomb. You're a queen. You're killing it right now. So again, I'm so grateful to have you here. So let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, in your words, what branding means to you and how important it is.
Absolutely. So your brand is what people say and feel about you when you're not necessarily in their face. So there's a certain energy that you get when you walk into a Target versus a Walmart. I'm not saying either of them are bad or good, but what I am saying is there is a certain energy that you get based on which company. And the same is true whether you're building a personal brand or whether you're building a professional brand, because those are separate. And you have to decide at the beginning, which brand, or especially if you're, let's say you are an emerging business owner, so what do you want to build? Do you want to build the brand where it's not, you're not leading with your face or your persona, or are you looking to build a business that has your face on it? It's, again, it's not either way is good or bad. There's no right or wrong way. It's just defining that from the beginning allows you to make certain strategic decisions that will push you much further, much faster, because you're not scrambling trying to do them both. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, for the longest, I would never tell people that I ran 360. I literally just put it in my bio 2 months ago during COVID. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I guess I should, because people are always confused, like, well, what do you do? How do you do it? For me, that was intentional because I didn't want my clients to feel as though they only had to work with me. So
Mm-hmm.
that was intentional for me. But you have to decide, what do you want it to be? You can absolutely build your brands in tandem, where you're building your company's brand and also your personal brand. That's actually my favorite way to do it, because you get to be who you are. And I'm all for, don't start with lies. Like, I need you
Right.
to anchor yourself in who you are, especially if you're going to be building a personal brand, because a lot of folks get really irritated with folks who are 100% themselves. Like, there's so many comments many times under Cardi's images about people who are like, how could she do all this and make all this, and how could she, and how could she, and how could she? You're focused on the wrong thing, sis, madam, sir, person. She's being her authentic self. If you could tap into who your authentic self is and push and focus only on that and producing excellence in your authenticity, you too can go much further faster, because long gone are the days that we want, folks to appear as though they're perfect, or even brands to appear as though they're perfect.
Right.
It's very, very clear that people like to see the growth aspect, the what you're going through aspect, or else the show Keeping Up with the Kardashians wouldn't be so successful. Now, mind you, I don't watch it, but I just don't do reality TV. But numbers, although they can lie, the numbers of folks who watch reality TV, that's not a lie.
Right.
So that means people want to see what's raw and what's real. There aren't as many scripted shows as there used to be. I remember when I was growing up, and I'm about to date myself, but you remember TGI Friday? Like, thank
Yes.
goodness it's Friday.
Yes.
Like, those scripted shows were everything.
Yeah.
Boy Meets World, Corey
Yes.
and Topanga, like, those were the shows. Back then it was a lot different. It was okay to be this contrived perfect figure who made no mistakes. Now it's, I screw up, I fuck up, I don't always get it right, but this is who I am, and I'm anchoring myself in who I am. So, very, very long answer to your question.
No, I love that. I mean, I talk about that all the time. Leading with authenticity. I think that that's major key. And you know what? Sometimes, oh, cheers, yes. And you know what?
Cheers.
Sometimes, everyone has to realize that yes, we do want to connect with something that's genuine, but at the same time, that also could be a longer process. Yes, that is very true. But that doesn't mean that people aren't looking, people aren't seeing,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, your original, your true to you growth. People are
Yeah.
looking, people are seeing it. You know, it's just gonna take longer than those who are putting up a facade sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
but I think that
And I don't
authenticity
necessarily
is
think
important.
it has to take longer if you find your tribe.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
that's the piece and part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't honestly expect my friends to support everything I put out.
Right.
Case in point, it's not for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they could buy it, they could whatever, but it's not for them. They don't want nothing that I'm talking about has anything to do with
Right.
what they want. And so folks would sometimes get upset, like, oh, you know, you're not supporting me, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And the fact of the matter is don't look at who's not supporting you,
Mm-hmm.
because whatever you focus on magnifies. You need
Yes.
to focus on, where's my tribe? If you don't have, you know, a customer avatar of, you know, what your customer looks like, who your customer is, what they're doing, where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you focus on that, then you can be your full authentic self and thrive in that lane, because you are sure of the brand that you're building. You are sure on who it's for. That's
Right.
why I said you got to decide from the beginning whether it's a personal brand or an actual
Mm-hmm.
company brand, because you build them differently.
Yeah.
And based on who the client or the target market is for that, those could be two separate entities. But if you focus on building your brand around being your authentic self while also connecting to who your target audience is, total game changer.
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely want to touch on that. I also later on down the line want to go back to the building your personal brand and your business brand, because that's something that's very important. There's some people, like you said, building both at the same time. So sometimes that could become a little confusing how to unattach yourself from the company brands and build your
Yeah.
personal. So definitely want to get back to that. But let's talk more about what are the steps? Let's talk a little bit about getting down to the branding. Once you come up with an idea, what are the steps?
So for me, first, I do a little research. Because the last thing you want to do is build an entire business and have no potential clients or customers, right? So just, you know, just a tad bit of research to see, you know, what is the solution that this brand is going to be providing. For me, I always lead with the solution, not just, oh, I do this, 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 and this, but it's like, how does what I do or what I plan to do, how will it solve a problem for whomever my target market is? So for me, it's first identifying, you know, what solutions am I going to be providing? And then second, who's my target client or customer base, so that I can be sure that as I'm building, that I'm targeting who those folks are, that I'm able to decide and define, like, okay, who should I also be collaborating with in that lane? Because a lot of people feel like, oh, I have to do this on my own, I have to put my head down, and that's just not the case. You
Right.
go so much further. The African proverb truly is right: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So for me, when it comes to building out the brand, after you've done those first two steps, then the next one is you want to get a really good idea of how you want to make people feel. Like Tide, I have a feeling when I see the Tide cleaner, primarily because I'm addicted to things that smell good, and to things that are effective. And for me, I really love like their mission, how they are, you know, usually at the front lines whenever there's anything happening in the states where there's like a natural disaster. They're at the front lines bringing full on washing machines in huge trucks to wash people's clothes for them and to pass out teddy bears and stuff to kids. So when I see their brand, I smile a bit because of what they do. So
Yeah.
you don't only want to, well, this is what I'm doing, this is the problem I'm solving, but how do you want to make people feel? Because when people attach a feeling to your brand, they continue to buy it because it makes them feel good. People like to experience pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, first
Okay.
three steps.
Okay. So identify your brand,
Well,
identify
identify the problem you're solving.
the problem you're solving,
Identify the problem you're solving. Identify who your target
who
market
your target
is.
market is.
And then become super clear on the feeling that you want them to gain from what it is you're doing. because you get into the nitty gritty of your colors, and nowhere we're going to go over all that, but your colors, your logo, your all that, that will come. But you first need to be super clear on those first items, because it allows you to build differently. You build differently.
Right. So how do you figure out, okay, so once you have figured out all those 3 steps, how do you translate that into your, let's say, social media page? How do you evoke that feeling through your social media page? I know you mentioned like colors and things like that, but I agree with you. It's more than that. So how do you evoke that? Because sometimes, you know, it is a little difficult when you're just getting started to attract people to your page, to attract people to comment, to follow, to like, and things like that.
So comment and like, and even getting people to your page, that's a strategy that we will definitely discuss. And I'm going to discuss it in detail. So make sure, you know, if you guys are watching, that you have pen and paper, because it's a strategy behind that piece. But when it comes to deciding how you want it to look, I always say get a sample set of 3 to 5 other pages that you actually like and that you consistently go to, and then do a quick assessment. This doesn't have to take 50,000 years. We're staying in the shallow end for this one. So it could take max up to an hour, where you identify on each of those pages what you like most and what resonates most with you. And you've invested no major money, just some of your time. And then you go to, it's colors.co, spelled COOLORS.co. You go there, and then you get to define or decide what your color scheme will be. There are a number of pages where there's a color scheme that flows really, really well. You need to pick out what will your preset be. You know, it used to be Visco. You could use to decide what your preset will be, because there's a certain energy. If you go to Halle Berry's page, I don't care what picture it is, there is a deep and mystical energy that her page has. Don't do it now because we talking, but go to Halle Berry's page after this, and you can feel the energy. Sorry guys, that's my daughter's bunny. He's being reckless over there. But if you go to her page, there's a certain energy. That's just a preset. It's simply a preset. If you go to Color Me Courtney, her page too, again, it's a preset. It is an energy. It's a feeling that they want to evoke. You need to ensure that when you are building a brand, that you are also that third piece, identifying what feeling do I want you to have. Because if you like the feeling, you're going to keep coming back for more. Super side note, that's why women sometimes keep going back to ain't worthy men, because they like the feeling. That's what you want to evoke. You want to get that feeling. Color Me Courtney is different. Exactly. You just want it in a positive way.
Somebody asked me quickly if you can mention the website again.
Yes, the website, it's colors.co, only it's spelled with 2 O's in the beginning. So COOLORS.co. And it allows you can create however many color palettes you want to create, but it ensures that there's symmetry, so that you don't have a bright blue and yes ma'am, so you don't have like a bright blue and a deep burnt orange that do not flow, do not go together. Like the colors behind me, if you notice, it's super intentional, and you can't see my couch, but it's a blue couch. But this here, I wanted to ensure that I was getting notes here. Do you see that?
Yeah.
It was intentional. You want to ensure that there is a flow, that it goes together. This room that I'm sitting in, hey Amina, it makes me feel calm. And I literally created the room built around the energy that I want to feel calm when I come in here. So you want to do that same thing when you're building out your brand. So you figure out what your colors are going to be. You've gone through 3 to 5 other pages that you've identified what keeps me coming back to these particular pages. What is it that I like about them, that I can recall them whether or not I'm looking at them. So once you've done that, you've identified what 5 things you like. then you get to decide, what is my brand going to represent? And this time I'm going to talk about just your personal brand. We can talk about the business later, but for your personal brand, what is my personal brand going to represent? For me, my personal brand represents an abundant life, period, in all things. Abundance. Abundance when it comes to my fierce love of peace. Abundance when it comes to my love for travel, how I live my life. Abundance of food, because I'm a foodie. I love food. I'm constantly learning, and I think she's on here now, Unique. I'm constantly learning new ways to be a better mother, because I want to have an abundance of those resources too. So for me, it's brilliant, lively abundance. So it's full of color. I used to wear mostly black. I mean, I know I have on a little black and white tonight. It's because my hair not done. But I used to wear, mostly black until I finally realized I'm not evoking the energy that A, I want to return to me, and B, that I want people to feel when they come to my page. If I'm going to show them what the other side of domestic violence looks like, I need it not to look so dark and dreary. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I could kill it in in an all black dress, and I do have those. But most of the time, it's super bright colors and places and things. And so once you've decided, like I said, what you want your brand, I usually say just choose 3 like primary areas and that you want to highlight, or 3 primary energies that you want to ensure that you have on your page. You've gone through the 3 or 5 folks. You've picked out your color palette. And then you decide, okay, what do I want to focus on? Am I going to be creating content that simply teaches people? Because there are some amazing accounts where I think it's Idealionaire. She rarely ever posts herself. The craziest thing, I admired her for years. When I say for years, I admired her for years. Because she never posts herself, I literally was interviewing her. I was literally interviewing her in Africa, South Africa. And I did not know I was on the stage with the woman who I had been admiring for like the past 5 years, because she never posts herself.
Yes.
It's all quotes. So you get to decide what you want to push, who you want to be. Just make a decision. And if, let's say, you want to change that, do a slow crawl. Don't, just shock them. Do a little slow crawl to change that. But yeah, so it's, deciding what types of content you're going to post. Your content should do 3 major things. Your content should educate folks. Your content should grow your audience. So you need to be posting 3 types of content. Content that grows your audience, content that either educates and engages with your audience, and then content that sells or promotes whatever products or services that you are selling. You want to be sure that you're doing those 3 things. There are others, depending on whether or not you, depending on like what your brand is. Like sometimes you want to have content, especially during these times, where it's literally just to have a laugh with your audience, because folks need that. Folks need to be able to smile. Or sometimes it's, content that will allow or invite your followers to pause or to breathe with you, whatever that looks like. But you want to ensure, when it comes to building out the content, once you've decided on your colors, your 3 notes that you are going to be, focused on. I always say 3 because too many confuses people. Like for the longest time in the beginning, folks were super confused about what I did. Also because I didn't explain it or express it or talk about it, but they were super confused about what I did because I wasn't clear. So you don't want people to have to guess, unless that's a part of your mystical everything. Okay. It doesn't bode well when it comes time to sell things. But live your best life however you want to do it. I'm not in the business of telling people what to do unless you're paying me to tell you what you should do. So
I love that. So I want you to repeat those 3 things that you just shared with us right now.
Okay.
So you said it was content to...
Oh, yes, that's what you're asking. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you are building out your brand and you're doing so via social media, that you have 3 types of content. Content that grows your audience, content that engages and educates your audience. I have them in two parts, because if you're educating your audience, then they're going to engage with it, and they may share it, they'll save it, which helps to get, you know, those images and pictures on the explore page, and helps for other folks to find them because there's so much energy around people liking them. And then you want content that sells and promotes whatever it is that you're selling or promoting to your audience. You want to ensure that your content strategy has all three, technically that's five, but has all 3 to 5 of those elements, primarily because you don't want to just sell to people, because that gets old, and then they unblock, unfollow, or mute.
Right.
And so not unblock, they do block, unfollow, or mute you. And you don't want either of those scenarios. So you don't just want to always sell, because again, that's not okay. You don't want to always only educate unless that is your sole purpose for the account.
Right.
And then if you plan on monetizing the account, then you're going to need to figure out what that piece looks like too.
Right.
Via like collaborative partnerships and things like that, because you've grown the following to a certain level. And then for the last one, you don't want to only focus on growth without having a point and a purpose, because then that's kind of, you know, no offense, unless it's just, you know, you need something to do, it's kind of a waste of time.
Right. Okay. So how important, let's keep it on social media for a little bit, and then we're going to switch gears. So how important is it to, you mentioned engagement. How important is it to engage with your audience? And this is twofold. So engage and respond to your audience that's commenting, and also engagement in following people, like you mentioned, that you admire, and brands that you like, and also brands that are kind of affiliated with what you do. And third, so it's threefold, not twofold. And third, how important is it to make like video content to talk to your audience, kind of like what we're doing right now on a live, or posting a video and things like that?
Absolutely. So I may forget one of them, so you may have to help me out here.
Yes.
But for the first one, when it comes to commenting, I think that was the first one. When it comes to comments, so I'm not gonna lie, this is a do as I say, not as I do, because I'm the worst. But you want to at least like or respond to folks who are taking the time out of their day to comment on your images that you're posting, your reels, your videos, even your stories. For me, the reason why I say I'm the worst is because I will post, and because I always have so much going on, I won't come back to Instagram after I post for like a day or two. And so that's why I'm the worst. Okay. But for people who aren't the worst like me, then if folks are, you know, start first. And my girlfriend who I wrote the book, the Get Source Manual with, she's phenomenal at it. She's so good at it. She comments to almost every person, and she has sometimes hundreds of comments under her images. But if you aren't so good with the small thing, it'll be really, really hard to manage and build the larger thing. So especially for engagement, when you're building, say thank you, you know, respond back to them, engage, because again, what it does is it will increase your numbers for impressions and engagement, and then that will that'll give you more opportunity for it to go on the explore page, which broadens your reach and everything else, and expansion. So absolutely important. Respond to your DMs. Say something back when folks comment. You know, if it's a negative comment, then just delete it. No sense in fighting. We don't do those internet thumb wars. But you know, respond, say something back. And then two, what you want to do too when it comes to, I think, engagement, like was the second question. When it comes to actually building engagement, what you want to do, and it's what I do usually for my clients, especially when we're starting to build them, is we select 10 accounts that are, we call them mirror accounts, 10 separate accounts of folks who are either in their industry adjacent, or just folks who they really, really like, who have engaged followers who fit their target audience, their target market. Because you don't just want a bunch of followers, because that's pointless if they aren't engaged, if they aren't willing to buy in, if they aren't really
Right.
looking to work with you, or invest or engage with you. So what you do is we call them power hours, and we'll go to the last image or video or reel of whatever the person posted, and you go through all of the people who have liked, and you engage with those folks. And what it does is it first identifies them to let them know, like, hey, I have a page that you can come and take a look at. Make sure your page isn't on private, because if you're in business or trying to build a brand, nobody has time to be trying to ask to
Right.
request you. See, nobody has time. I'm good,
Right.
love, and joy. um but yes, you go, you do that, do 25 each power hour, and you're connecting with those 25 folks a day. In 1 week, if you're only doing 5, you give them, like, you've grown your base, or the folks who are interacting with what you're doing, simply because you're now interacting with them. So you go, you comment on pictures, you
Right.
go see what their stories are saying. And we only do it, I want to say, for clients, like an hour a day, depending on the client. And you just sit, and that's the only thing that you're doing for an hour. You're engaging, you're talking. If they post something funny, you're responding in the comments. You're actually putting some energy around your page, simply because you're engaging and interacting with your key folks who you actually like and who fit
Right.
your target.
So let me ask you real quick. How do you find those people? Do you look through a hashtag that you like, that fits your brands? Like, how do you find those brands
Um,
outside of the network that you already have?
so if there's been no market research, because I'm a nerd, so we do market research. But if there's been no market research, then you just follow hashtags. And then if you find a person who you like, you just click down on their profile to see the other suggested folks to follow. And then you can
Mm-hmm.
go down a whole rabbit hole finding all the people from there.
Yeah. I also noticed that when you follow a brand that you like, it'll also give you suggestions of
Yeah, that's what I
other
mean.
similar brand. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can
Okay.
do that, like, even though we're following each other, I can go to your page now and click on that same downward button,
Yeah.
and it'll still show me similar pages.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do it that way too.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, and then I know the market research part is more extensive. So definitely, guys, if you
Definitely
want
more
more
expensive.
information, reach out to her. I know I am, so definitely do that. Okay, and then my last one was videos. So
Mm.
how important is making videos? How important is holding lives? And allowing your audience to hear you, to hear your actual words instead of just reading them in your post all the time.
Well, statistically speaking, again, that nerd coming out, um, you get more engagement when you do have a video. Um, so videos, which is why too, like, if you notice Instagram, they are putting some real power behind those reels.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, you may want to start doing a reel or two. I tried my hand at one. We're doing reels. So, like, for my company, we have members of our team. They are doing reels to just share knowledge from some of our blog posts, just to share knowledge on how folks can, do things depending on whether they're building a brand, building a website. So many options. As long as you're focused on providing value, in ways in which, like, people are like, oh, the algorithm. And it's just like, focus on providing value. If you see that Instagram is putting a huge push behind one of their new products, aka Reels, because a Reel is one of their products. If you see that they're
Mm-hmm.
putting they're putting energy and stuff behind it, it's okay. Like, and I'm anti most times. If everybody's doing it, I don't want to do it. However, I do understand that when it comes to growth and engagement, that you will have to take a look and be proactive. Like, if you see that, all right, Instagram now has a heavy focus on their latest product, which is Reels. What can I do using a reel or doing a reel that's authentic to me? Because
Right.
you don't want it to be that you're doing stuff that doesn't make sense for you, or honestly for your brand. So if
Right.
it's not going to help, okay, then move on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
absolutely videos you need,
Awesome.
only because, like I said, it shows up when it comes to Google Analytics and everything else. Videos, when it comes to marketing and such, it just, that you get more play. The ROI is well beyond anything you could, any picture or static image you could ever post.
Yeah, and I know we talked about leading with authenticity. So the videos, do you suggest they be more tailored, or is it okay to do just like a spontaneous video without, putting too much thought to it, in the sense of, trying to be so structured, just kind of like
Do
speak what
both.
you feel? Both. Okay.
Do both.
Okay.
You don't, and that took me a long time to like understand, because
Yeah.
I used to be, I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Yes.
I'm not
Same
anymore.
here. We got a lot of things in common.
Listen, I'm a whole recovering perfectionist.
Yes.
Now, to me, it's done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be done than have, like, literally, I think I had a card deck. It's been a year and some months that I've had this card deck that I'm like, oh no, it's not perfect yet. It's not perfect yet. And finally, I'm just like, you know what? We're press and play. Okay?
Yeah.
We're press and play. We can always do a rebrand or redesign or whatever. But for now, we're press and play. Done is better than perfect. Procrastination will have you 10 years down the road, like, ooh, one day I'm gonna, nobody has time for that. Press play.
Exactly. I agree. Well, we have about a little under 20 minutes, so I still want to ask you a few more good questions. So really quickly, I know we talked a lot about social media. Your website, like, how important is your website? Having like a YouTube page and your LinkedIn. And I saw that LinkedIn now has a stories where you can post stories, which is awesome.
Yep.
So
LinkedIn has stories.
How important are these three platforms for your brand? Like, let's start with website.
So your website is, it depends on what you're doing. For me, I tell every single person they need a website, because what you want to do is use their platform to build your table. Because if you only have a base that's on a social media network or social media platform, if it goes down, you have no access to any of those followers. If they kick you off, it don't matter how long you were building those followers or building that page, you've lost all of that. So for me, I always tell people you need to have at least a landing page that allows you to capture emails, because you want to be able to build your base outside of just an Instagram or a Twitter or a Facebook or anything else. So even if all you have is a landing page that says, that gives away a freebie, download my 10 ways to succeed at RFPs, or download my 10 recipes to live a plant-based lifestyle, or something like that, you need to have website or landing page, something that allows people and that allows you to build a database, because you really need a database, because your database, folks usually need 7 interactions before they purchase from you.
Right.
7.
Right.
So if you only have them on LinkedIn, or excuse me, LinkedIn too, but if you only have them on your Instagram or on your Twitter or on your Facebook, and they're not consistently or constantly seeing you, it takes so much longer to get to the sale. Right. So it needs to be that they're able to engage with you in different ways. That engagement can be participating with a much larger brand to do a giveaway. Then what does that giveaway look like? What's the cadence of it? How do people get to win? Do they have to follow you and tag a bestie? Like, what does that look like? It's necessary to think, always say, it's what we use in improv. I think it's okay and, yes. Always say okay and. So this is what we've created, or this is the marketing strategy, okay, and then keep adding to it, not some deep, dark, or difficult anything, but to keep adding to that strategy so that it's all encompassing. Just posting on social media will not get the sale. It simply will not. Right. Just sending one email won't get you, you won't get what you want. Right. And it sucks, because I wish you could just snap your fingers. I sent an email, y'all hurry up and purchase, hurry up and do. It's not how it works. Yeah. But by encompassing a full scale where you're thinking about the multiple avenues in which you can market, whether it's a pre-live or whether it's a giveaway, whether it's a partnership with a larger brand. Now you can have more folks' ears because they're at home. Some people are at home chilling in the house, so they've got not necessarily more time, but their time isn't as strained because
Right.
they're always out, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, it's more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So really quick, you mentioned the email. So email blasts and newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
How important are these, and what's like a really quick good strategy behind them? Because you don't want to continue to send like the same thing that's really not captivating the people who are receiving your emails.
So honestly, it depends on what you're doing. Like, how, again, for me, it's always how is it adding value?
Yeah.
Because if I'm constantly getting an email from somebody and it doesn't add any value to me, I'm either going to mark it as spam so that it still comes through, I just never receive it, or I'm going to unsubscribe. So for me, it's don't just send them an email. And this is something that took me not necessarily a long time, but it can be challenging to have a content strategy that also includes newsletters, because you've got to write it. You've got to make sure, you know, you've got engaging and interesting content. They don't just want to see a picture of your face. This ain't Instagram. Like,
Right.
what value are you providing? How are you helping them to grow with your newsletter? Because everybody has a newsletter. I literally have an email account that I give only for folks who want to send newsletters. Rarely open it. It has like 30,000, you know, emails in there. So you've got to figure out, you know, what type. That's why you want to make sure you're finding your tribe,
Yeah.
because your tribe, they want to see your emails.
Yeah.
So it's not just having to a database of 5,000 people and your open rate is like 2%.
Right.
Like,
right.
that's not it. Again,
Yeah.
it's not just about it's not just about the numbers.
Yes.
It really is, peace and blessings, love. It really is about how are you getting in front of your actual tribe, your actual audience, folks who want to engage with you, folks who want to hear from you, because that is where the real magic happens.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in. We really appreciate it. Yeah, I have to agree. And you mentioned something that's really good too. We can all check our stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an email marketing campaign that you send out on the regular, you can check the stats on that.
Yep.
You can check your stats on Instagram, social media, how many times people, you know, look at your stuff. Because sometimes people look at it, they don't like it, you know, so you can check all of that, and that can also help you figure out what content you're putting out that is engaging, that isn't engaging, and kind of start building your strategy from there. Yeah. Hey,
yeah, I use Sprout Social. I use Sprout Social because Sprout Social gives me analytics. Because for me, I can't grow what I'm not measuring.
Right.
And so for me, Sprout Social, it shows me and it gives me a post by post breakdown, like what the engagement was on certain posts, what was the impressions. And you don't have to pay for a system like Sprout Social because it's not free. But because I do social media for clients, I needed to be able to show them like, hey, this is, you know, what we did. These are, you know, the analytics behind it. This is how many folks, you know, clicked, you know, to the link after they saw this post, like just that type of thing. So you need to be able to measure it. You can use absolutely LinkedIn, you know, business insights, as long as you're a business account, like it's a professional account. But for me, you do need to be able to, you know, check the insights so you can see what's working, what's not, what you need to change.
Yeah.
And then be sure like you're actively involved. Know who the leaders in your industry are and engage with them. See, you know, what you can do or how you can collaborate, with them, and make sure it's mutually beneficial. Anything that's just coming with your hand out but not offering a hand up, they're not going to get behind it the way you need them to.
I agree 100%. So let's talk a little bit about your business brand, and what that looks like and what the content for that looks like. because now that's different from your personal brand, right? So you said with your personal brand, especially you were talking about yours, you know, it's very vibrant, it's very colorful, it's very good, positive energy,
Mm-hmm.
very light. I think you mentioned relaxing and things like that. So when it comes to your business brand, should you solely focus on putting out content of business and nothing personal, nothing, no pictures of yourself and things like that? Like, tell us a little bit more about what the branding for your business looks like.
So my suggestion honestly would be something very similar. Like if you go to, what's one of my favorite accounts? Giuseppe. Or if you go to Schultz, and Schultz is a shoe company. If they actually are both shoe companies because I adore shoes. But if you go to either of those brands, you rarely ever will see the design mind behind it, but you see very fun, really interesting, because there's only so many ways you can pose a shoe. There's only so many ways. But what they do with their brand is they create an entire life and an entire world around that shoe. They give them names. They say, Suzette is going out tonight. Are you coming with? Are you showing off? Whatever the name of the shoe is. But what you want it to be when you're building like a business brand, you just have to decide again, what are you pushing? Like
Mm-hmm.
simple as that. Like what you pushing, what you selling, and then how are you going to make it interesting enough that folks want to engage with you? And then what are you going to be doing? Yes, digital marketing matters, but also what are you doing offline from ensuring that you're being, that your brand or your product is being covered by, industry leading magazines, that your CEO is, attending or speaking at, engagements. Like it can't just be social media when it comes to building a brand. You need to always make sure you're saying, okay, and. So, okay, yes, we are doing social media. We have a brand that we're building. We're doing all the things. Like if you look at my company brands, which is 360 Gateway Brands and RGOP Group, they look nothing, and I mean polar opposite to my personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
Polar opposite, because I'm not pushing the same things. I'm
Right.
not. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing when you're building out your professional brand. Decide what that looks like, and then make sure, like I said, digital marketing, digital media, yes, but then okay, and what else?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who am I collaborating with? What articles am I being featured in? Where am I lending my expertise? Because
Right.
folks always need an expert. So how am I showing my thought leadership? Because that's how you push it and build it, and all, like you have to do that piece. It's not just I posted a pic, I was cute, and now that's it.
Right.
Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
what else?
Yes. So let me ask you this, because we talked a little bit about this in the beginning. How do you separate your personal brand from your business brand if you're used to being the face of the business brand? How do you now start separating yourself, even though you're the one that's basically, making all the deals
Mhm.
and collaborating with the other businesses and organizations and stuff like that? How do you create it to where you can still post that content and that relationship, but it's not necessarily completely tied to you?
So you start to tell the story of the brand, not the story of you the person, but
Mm-hmm.
the story of the brand. And I think a lot of people forget that piece, because the brand has a story and also you, the person, has a story. So start to share what that story looks like from the brand's point of view. Think of them separate. Just like there's supposed to be separation of personal finances and business finances,
Mm-hmm.
no matter like what that is, think of it the same way when you're doing your business and your company, unless you intentionally want them to be intertwined.
Okay.
And
And
that's okay if you want them to intentionally be intertwined.
got it. Okay. So it's not a bad thing if they are
Yeah,
intertwined.
no, it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing at all. It's just honestly, it's personal preference just for
Mm-hmm.
me, because I don't want people to always think of me, oh, as the business head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love a good kiki. I love to laugh. I can twerk better than most people. Um, so, but that is polar opposite to what I do in business.
Right.
That has nothing to do with what I do in business. That's just me, the person. And
Yeah.
I want it to be able to be my authentic self. And I could not do that being super tied to my companies,
Right.
because our GLP group is learning and development with major corporations. I can't be twerking on their stage. My name
Exactly.
ain't Cardi B. They'll hire a Cardi B, for their
Right.
entertainment for an annual year or something, but they not hiring me to twerk. They hiring me to think, to consult, and to help folks leverage their value for personal and professional growth.
Yeah.
If I had them super intertwined, I couldn't be myself the way I want to.
Right.
So I believe in separation of church and state. So separation of me and the business.
Yes, yes, I agree with that 100%. Definitely. That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you too. I guess it goes hand in hand with our conversation about authenticity. Is sometimes people do criticize you for twerking or for being somebody that's like that when you have a professional business, when you provide professional services. But I guess you answered the question. Just be your
Yeah, I don't
authentic
care.
self.
You
Just separate it.
listen, separated, separation of church and state, understand? When I
Exactly.
have my, when I'm on the stage, no, 9 times out of 10, I won't be twerking. There
Right.
may be that 1% chance, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not twerking on the corporate stage or anytime I'm working with a major brand. But
Yeah.
best believe, if I'm with my girls, if we at a party, if we out of the country, listen,
Mm-hmm.
you put anything that got a little beat to it, I'm probably going to be twerking. And I'll even
Exactly.
share it in my stories of me having fun, because I'm a
Right.
human. And
Exactly.
if you feel that you're not going to give me a contract because I have rhythm and I know how to dance and I express myself through dance, then okay,
Exactly.
you're not my tribe. And I'm okay
Right.
with that. I'm not
Right.
going to not be who I am for $1.
Right.
I'm never going to be that cheap.
Yes, yes, that's super important. That's one of the greatest takeaways. Yes, when it comes to branding and your brands, like you just have to be authentic. So we have, oh my God, we only have under 2 minutes left. I'm so sad. um, so I think that I don't want to ask another major question and we get cut off. So I think we're gonna leave it here. But I definitely want to do a follow up with you because this was absolutely amazing. This was super important. And I think I learned a lot and I hope everyone else did too. And, everybody definitely follow Alicia. She has a lot of great things going on. As you can see, she has the amazing energy. We have so many things in common too. I was one of those always wear black type of girls too. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to put out there. Let
It's
me just be
not. It's
positive and
not.
happy. Yes.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming on the platform and doing this. I think that branding is probably one of the most important things
Yeah.
when you're starting your business, whether it be personal or a business brand. So I think these were like nuggets that are super priceless. But if you guys want more information, definitely reach out to Alicia. I'm gonna save the live and I'll share it with you guys. If you guys want the live, just reach out to me, DM me, and I'll send you a copy. But thank you so much again, Alicia. I don't know if you want to leave us with some closing words.
Yeah, just figure out, and this is gonna be a curse word, so I'm so sorry if your people don't curse. I'm a curserer. But just figure out who the fuck you are and
Yes.
channel deep into who that is. Make no apologies for it, and then find your tribe. Channel deep into, dive deep into who you are and fall in love with that person. And I know that sounds real woo-woo, but really and truly, when you connect energetically with a deep, deep love for who you are, what you do, and you're clear on the value that you bring to the table, it changes things. It
Yeah.
simply